Hi, my name is Mary Jade Haney. I am currently a public school librarian. I serve in an elementary school. I have been serving as a librarian for 3 years. I bring to this space the experience of a classroom teacher, an art teacher, a reading interventionist, a reading teacher, and a literacy coach. I have been teaching for 28 years. This, as I go into the 24-25 school year, that would be my 29th year. I'm here to present significance of race and ethnic or ethnicity in schools from EDCS 722, Racial and Ethnic Diversity and the Curriculum Course, Summer of 2024. Dr. Kamania Winter-Hoyt is my professor. I am so delighted to share a portion of my learning. Of course, learning is continuous, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to dig a little deeper and learn a little more, and then add it to my action research as I continue to serve teachers, students, parents, and families as a public school librarian. Okay, gotta go to the next slide. Nope, it's not working. Okay, here we go. All right. So I have a disclaimer because of this work. Sometimes I get very passionate as I'm talking. So the significance of race and ethnicity in schools PowerPoint is for our final presentation. Our final assignment submission for EDCS 722, Racial Ethnic Diversity and the Curriculum. The course is facilitated by Dr. Kamania Winter-Hoyt, University of South Carolina, Summer 2024. The PowerPoint presentation is not to be shared, reposted, or segmented for uses other than completion of collaborative assignments for EDCS 722. Thank you for honoring this disclaimer as we are on a continuous journey for a better world, embracing humanity. So, the significance of race and ethnicity in school. Integration of culture into the curriculum on a daily basis is my mission. Culture relevant instructional practices, resources, and assessments, that's my mission. Culture relevant parent, family, community days, and that's my mission. Who am I? I am a Black female. I'm Native American, self-identified, and so then I intersect as a Black librarian, and a Native American librarian in a space that can be challenging. So my archaeology dig, my I am African American, so that's a target. I'm female. That's a target. My status is a target. I'm female. Um, I'm agents. It gives me agency. A middle socioeconomic class is I am a middle class. I'm border. It depends on the context. With agency, depends on the context. I'm bilingual, standardized English and African American language. And that can be border, and it also can give me agency. It depends on where I am, the context. I am a person with a temporary disability, so that puts me on a border right now. When I taught third grade, I hurt my knee, and as teachers do, I didn't go and take care of that as I should. So then what I did is I compensated for my left knee. That just made me give me some temporary disabilities, and that's what I'm going to say. I am a Christian, identify as a Christian, and that gives me agency in the area that I'm in. So whatever context. Of course, I'm an elder now, so 55 plus. And so that is a target, and it can also be an agency. I am loving it. Okay. So that's basically where I am with who I am and how I think through the work that I do, and work on me to become a better version of myself to serve children. So the most influential memoir, was the absolutely true diary of a part-time Indian. And the reason I say that is because um, this everybody should read this book. Should this memoir as educators? This should be a read aloud. This should be a book study for educators and have conversations based on just just being a more um, focused person on the work that we are doing to serve children, no matter what their identities or their ethnicities are. As we think about the work that we do, what I saw in this book is I saw a reflection of a lot of events that I see happening, and the kind of stories, the stories that I see here in this memoir can reflect in Black crit as well, not only tribal crit. And as far as educators, oh, Mr. P, Mr. P, even though he's on a reservation, a lot of this is happening currently in schools today because of all the mandates, and people are just trying to save their jobs, and they're not really looking into the eyes of our beautiful children, Black or white, because culture relevant pedagogy is for all children. Black history is for all children. Just teaching in ways where students are valued, of what they bring to school, their names, saying their names the way they should be saying, not getting shortcuts. Just call me this because, you know, I can't I'll just call you this. I'll just call you this because it's easier for me. Those type things, the violence that you encounter on a daily basis is interesting. And sadly, you see it when you get a collection of children in summer camps. I, but why? Because I notice a little bit because this work is very vast. It's so much to do, but I notice a lot. I have been dealing with some triggers, um, especially when I read um, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and just listening to children because they're free to talk and the way they act, and how you just take some of that information and you say, violence is being enacted, and being able to notice and name just took me to another level this summer. This course, I'm taking two courses, but this course and the other course, they are married. It's like they marry each other. They're very integrated. But the thing is, I was reading the work, um, and then going into the praxis, reading the work and going into the praxis every day from 7:30 to 8. So right now I'm telling you, I'm mentally exhausted. I'm emotionally exhausted because I know we're getting ready to go back into the 24-25 school year, and none of this is being internalized or having conversations in a real way. But we're going back to serve children, and we're going back to take care of children. But how are we going to take care of them? Can we say the children are well? This is where some of the quotes that stuck out with me is, I know, but some Indians think you have to act white to make your life better. Some Indians think you have become white if you try to make your life better, if you become successful. That's one quote that just kind of, that stuck out for me as I was reading the scenario with Mr. P and Junior, and the book that was old as his parents, and how that angered him, and he didn't know what to do with it. He threw the book. I'm thinking Mr. P just stepped in the way, okay? And he just actually got hit, but he needed some sense knocked into him. And that's when he went to the reservation and he had a conversation with Junior. And that's when he ended up confessing um, his lack of integrity as a teacher. And really just, us, and I do it too. I'm not above that. I'm a school librarian, and there's some things that I do because they make me do it, or they not make me, but they heavily suggest that you do it because that is the expectation. However, one of the things that I'm noticing is taking your trying to understand this work to be able to notice name um, is 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 important. And I will say I do back up off of it a lot because it hurts me. It makes me angry as a teacher, an educator of color, but more so when I think about my life as a student of color, as a Black child, in a predominantly white school. And then not only that, when I go back home to be around my family, I see people my age who never really met or reached their potential. And I'm not trying to put it all on the system. However, it never happened for them. And I feel sometimes like Junior, like I got out, I went to a space where I had opportunities. So another when Mr. P was really talking to him about college, and he was saying, one of the quotes is when Junior was reflecting is, how often do you hear the words Indian and college in the same sentence? So, and then can an Indian have a legacy in a white town? Those are just some quotes. And then when the memoir opened, and he was talking about the pain, and he got no because he could hold the pain because he was Native American. I mean, what kind of violence? So those are physical violence that there was just so many different violence enacted in there in this memoir. It was just like, wow, what a night, what a book to have a conversation. So I was leaning toward Black crit and Latinx crit to have as my most influential memoir and to focus on. But this really spans across all of the experiences that some of us have and some of our students have. And therefore, I can identify with a lot of the racial um, harm and the oppressive um, actions in this story. And it's important to have these conversations. So it's important to create book studies. So I'm thinking that I can do that. So when I think about the text to text connections, why all the Black kids sitting together in the cafeteria and pulling out like the US government practice of removing children from their home environments in the 1930s. By then, several generations of Indian children had lost their traditional culture and ways. So that was the plan. So when you think about violence and you think about um, racism and you think about power and how the plan was always there, that's where um, that's where a lot of the my emotions and I try, and I'm pushing through because I want to learn, but it's very uncomfortable, and it's very emotional, and it's very troublesome to still see that so much of the so much racism is still in the land when it comes to working and serving in public education. So the Carlisle Indian School in Carlisle, Pennsylvania was established in 1879. This should never have happened to these children and their families because of humanity. The sad truth is that is still happening today in different ways. So the work that Tatum is doing and a lot of other scholars that I've read about in this during the summer, They're helping us to be able to have a critical consciousness when you think about, okay, that's fine. I have to teach the standards. Okay, I need to know the standards so I can use them to do no harm. The legacy of loss is accompanied by a legacy of resistance, as they had in the past. Native peoples resisted the termination policy, and the policy ended in the 1960s following the election of John F. Kennedy. And I want to stay there because this is what I'm taking with me into the 24-25 school year is resistance, resisted, the legacy of resistance and paying attention, noticing, naming, reflecting, action research. I am in a very good space as a school, as a librarian, because I see all the teachers and I see all the students and the families and even community members. Now, I do not have a strong voice at the table as far as instructional leadership. So what I have to do is I have to start small. So my plan is to go back into the 24-25 school year with an action research lens on the the whole idea of loss and resistance. So that is my big picture. Because this is how people of oppression survive in the past, present, and future. And so we are in an oppressive state. Teachers are oppressed. Families parents are oppressed. Students are oppressed, but who can notice and name it? Because we can't really have a conversation if we can't notice and name. And so that's where I am with this course and the work that we're doing here is trying to grapple with the noticing and the naming and the planning. Because sometimes I notice and name, but what am I going to do about it? Am I just going to sit and just get all angry about it? How am I going to take action? Well, I took some action in camp, in all the camps, like yesterday was our last day, and then we have a big showcase on Sunday. So I've created this whole big Africa presentation, and with understanding it takes a whole village to raise a child, and the wisdom of the elders, because that eldering, I might be getting things crossed up, but eldering and which I got to go back and visit some of these things. I have to do the work. And once I do the work and put it into practice, I'll be able to be more of an advocate and then be able to talk about it based on the work that we're reading. So this has been an amazing ride this summer. Okay. So the theory application is critical race theory. So I know when Dr. Gloria Latson Billings, when she was talking, and also Dr. Winter Hoyt was talking about critical race theory is the whole foundation for all theories, tribal crits, Black crits, and Latinx crit. So they're all theories come under critical race theory. That just stood out to me. And then CRT argues that racism is endemic in society. And then CRT is not taught at P12 schools. Yes. So, I mean, really having all of that information, I am getting a little bit more equipped and a little bit more confident to be able to speak out about some things that really needs to be spoken to, but important for analyzing and making sense of of what's going on in society as far as racism is concerned. So then I started looking really deeply at the CRT 7 major tenets: permanence of racism, intersectionality, critique of color blindness, counter storytelling. And that counter storytelling is so important. And that's why I really enjoyed the memoirs, because the counter storytelling helps others to be able to look in, mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors, because we think something is and it's not when you really look at the true stories, because they'll tell you a story, which is that's what they do. They tell us different stories that just not quite accurate. And then interest convergence, whiteness as property, commitment to social justice. And that commitment to social justice is bringing ourselves to that currently critical consciousness. And that's why I want to take myself, and I want to take teachers with me, and I want to take students with me, and I want to take parents with me, because parents have to question things too, so they can advocate for their children, especially in the public school system. When you think about tribal crit and the nine tenets, race, power, and tribal sovereignty. While CRT argues that racism is endemic in society, tribal crit emphasizes that colonization is endemic in society while also acknowledging the role played by racism. And that's from Brave Boy. That's a quote from Brave Boy. So how do I identify, and why did I decide on tribal crit? Because about 8 years ago, I found out I am from the Etowah tribe in the Wasmasaw Indian Nation, which is in the community in which we grew up. And so as we started researching and doing all the information, well, that's my great grandma right there. And then there's all of this information. It's really got a little bit larger than we had anticipated, but we now know that we self-identify as Native Americans. So some influential professional books that I go to a lot is Courageous Leadership in Early Childhood Education, because to do this work, you have to be courageous, but you can't just be courageous and not knowledgeable. You have to have some knowledge and take a stand for social justice in schools. And then, so my people that I do stand on the shoulders of Dr. Susie Long, Mariana Soto Manning, and Vivian Maria Vasquez, and also Sonia Nieto. And then teachers have to speak up. But how do we speak up? This book right here, this is a new book, Stories of Courage. You have to have courage. And then you know what? Teachers are always so resilient, but you can't just be resilient and just sit there. We've got to work. We've got to keep our boots on the ground. And then we've got to keep hope, even though it's in difficult times. We have to be able to say the children are well. That's my mission, to be able to say and speak the are well, and then have the data to back up that the children are well. Because I declare unto you, the camps we've done, I can truly say the children are well. I can also say the families are well. I can say the parents are well. And I can also say the community. But that's small. We need it to be bigger. We need it to grow and to be bigger. So these are some books that I constantly use as I was reading and going back and forth to make some sense out of the information that we have, the research that we have been reading, and meeting people like King and all of these other scholars that I kind of revisited and also met. So Sonia Nieto and Alicia Lopez edited the stories of these teachers, and then also celebrating Cuentos. Of course, I work with my Latinx community, but this book right here, every librarian really should have this in their as a resource to help when they're creating text sets, or a go-to share with teachers, or even do a book study. Any of these books, any of the memoirs that we read, I would definitely suggest, creating book studies to have these conversations. When you think through your instructional leadership, social justice, collaboration, and also selecting resources for the students and the population that is served. So what I did is I just pulled the grade three testing data for my school, and that was from the 22-23 school year. 71 students were tested, and this was just aha data, because I never really thought about looking at American Indian or Alaska Native in our school. Well, there's zero, but I wonder, are there any that self-identify? Because if they look at the staff, and then I didn't put that I was a native, that I self-identified as a Native American, or let's just say American Indian, if that's how they code it. Then guess what? then I'm not counted. So these are some conversations that we can critically look at the population. So in our school, you have 71 students, and 54 of them are Black or African American. And I didn't get some of the other students, but those I just pulled out Black or African American students. We have 54, and then white we have 3, and American Indian we have 0 as identified. So that was the data that I was looking at as far as the testing. So those are that we can say that 54 of our students were tested. And if we say 54 of our Black or African American students were tested, 46.3% of them did not meet standards. And so my question is, I wonder why? Because it is no fault of theirs. So for my reflection is the responsibility of the school librarian that I take on for the 24-25 school year is to really hone in on my instructional leadership, get a deeper understanding of social justice within the context of collaboration, and social justice when you think about resources, social justice and cultural relevant pedagogy when you think about the assessments that we're giving these children, and how can we do data triangulation and show that our children know more than they're saying. So the resources that I read was I shared in the back of in the last PowerPoint slide is for, I think, teachers can use or anybody can use to start a conversation and to start to learn for yourself or learn with somebody through creating a book study. It can be 2 people or 1. I always say start small. If you start small, it has grown. There's some things I can share. I would like to share where we started small and now they're like big, kind of like out of hand, but it's for the good of the children, the good of our Black children, the good of all children, but good of our Black children that we are advocating, creating spaces where they can be their self, and we can see their brilliance, we can see their beauty, but most of all, we can love them and say that children are well as a community, as we come together. So collaboration in the library as a public school librarian, my new mission, and that's where I am. And I just want to say I enjoyed this course. I enjoyed this course and the other course because they're together, they're coming together. It's like I said, it's so much to learn. I feel like I just learned like just a very small piece. But it's so much and I can see it and I can see the start to name it. The other thing I would like to challenge is to really pay attention and learn the social studies standards, because one of the things that's not happening is our children are not being taught Black history, and they're not being taught it very deeply. If they are teaching it, it's very surface. So what we need to do is we need to come together as a collective and make sure we can all understand and be able to speak to some of the inequities that we see in public schools and take action. What can we do about it? Thank you.